Just when you think you've seen everything in the game of football, if you continue to watch, you see things you've never seen before. I can't believe that Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase have played so well against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I can't believe that they've put on, all-time great performances and are 0-2. Lost both games by a combined 4 points. Throw in the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs by a point. 3 football games by 5 points. It's amazing to me. And offensively, played well enough to win every single one of them. I'm going to get into some numbers. I mean, they're mind-boggling. 2 games against Baltimore. Joe Burrow is 64 for 95, 820 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 121.4. Ja'Marr Chase in 2 games against Baltimore. Targeted 29 times, has 21 catches, 457 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I mean, some receivers would take that for a season in the National Football League that are in the league right now. He does it in 2 games against the Baltimore Ravens. And Joe puts up the numbers he put up, and they've lost both football games. It's incredible. Lamar Jackson in 2 games against the Bengals. 51 of 75 for 638 yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. These 2 quarterbacks have combined for 17 touchdown passes and 1 interception in 2 football games. I mean, it's ludicrous. Their combined numbers, 115 for 170, 1,458 yards, 17 touchdowns, 1 interception by these 2 unbelievable quarterbacks. They put on 2 instant classics. You can't play much better at the quarterback position than Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson did in these football games. For the season, Ja'Marr Chase now has 66 catches, 981 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Are you kidding? That's after 10 games. That's not the end of the year. That's 10 games, a little over halfway through the season. He's going to potentially he's leading in all categories. Could be a Triple Crown winner. Cooper Kupp did it. Steve Smith Sr. did it, where you lead the NFL in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Chase now has 12 touchdown passes of over 60 yards in his career. Mind-boggling. He's got 3 200-yard or more receiving games, 200-plus yards receiving in 3 different football games. Never been done in Bengals history. I mean, he is doing things that are just like off the charts. Burrow now leads the NFL in passing yards, 2,672, and his 24 touchdown passes tie for the lead in the National Football League with who? Yeah, you guessed it, Lamar Jackson. Ian Lamar. I mean, he's got 24 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions. Lamar has 24 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. It is unbelievable how these 2 guys played. How about the combined numbers of offensive yards in this football game by the teams? Let's do both games. In the first game, these 2 teams combined for 986 yards, 246 rushing, 740 passing. In the game that just played yesterday, 859 total yards, 148 rushing, 711 passing. In the 2 football games this year, these 2 teams have combined for 1,845 yards offense in 2 football games, 394 rushing, 1,451 passing. You kidding? This football game came down to turnovers. There was only 1, but you lose the turnover battle against the Baltimore Ravens, you're going to lose the football game. And the Bengals lost the turnover battle. And the amazing thing is, in the first game against Baltimore, they had multiple times where they had a 10-point lead. In the second half, they had a 10-point lead 2 different times. In this one, they had a 14-point lead, 21-7 in the second half. Chase Brown fumbles the football. Short field, they score. They get stopped twice on 4th down. Short field, score. They score 3 touchdowns on, in my mind, 3 turnovers. The fumble, anytime a possession ends without a kick, without a punt, extra point, or field goal, it's a turnover in my mind. They went 2 for 4 on 4th down. Both times they get stopped on 4th down, the Ravens scored. When Brown fumbled the football, the Ravens scored. That fumble gave them life, got them back into the football game. The last 4 possessions, For the Baltimore Ravens, they scored touchdowns, and then they had the kneel down. Crazy. The kneel down at the end of the football game gave the Ravens 99 yards rushing. If they didn't have that kneel down, they would have tied the record of 42 straight games with 100 yards rushing or more. Or 43 games. They had 42 going into the game. They would have tied the record 43 straight games with 100 yards or more rushing. They did it once. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it once. That kneel down cost them a record. How ironic is that? They could give a damn because they won the football game, and that's what it's all about. That's the most important thing. Man, it's the Baltimore Ravens are dead last in the NFL stopping the pass. And what Joe Burrow did and taking them apart yesterday is certainly not going to change that. You think, why go for it on 4th and 2? Zach was aggressive. I mean, obviously, why go for the 2-point conversion? Zach was aggressive. He went for it on 4th down 4 times and was successful twice and unsuccessful twice. I think he felt like we haven't stopped the Ravens at all. I mean, they scored on 4 straight possessions. Who's to say we're going to be able to stop him in overtime? Felt like he had momentum with the touchdown. In the red zone, they went 3 for 3. The Ravens went 4 for 4. And goal-to-go efficiency, low red zone, they were 2 for 2. The Ravens were 3 for 3. 4th down from the 2-3 yard line, thinking, okay, it's another low red zone snap. Been pretty good in the low red zone and in the red zone today. But got to give the Ravens credit. I mean, the Bengals, they initially tried to get the Ravens to jump with some motion and communication and long count. Ravens held their water and burned a timeout. They were trying to get even closer for the 2-point conversion. Ravens changed what they decided to do defensively, and they jumped the tight ends. There's no question about that, and made that progression pretty tough. Joe thought after the game, in hindsight, maybe get out of pocket, create and extend, and see if they can freelance, create a second play, which is how they've done a lot of their damage and how a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL do damage in the red zone and the low red zone these days in the National Football League. But man, this game was a track meet. It was an offensive performance for the ages, and unfortunately, the Bengals dropped the baton, and the Baltimore Ravens figured out a way to finish. You got to close three football games, 2 against Baltimore, 1 against Kansas City. You got to be able to close at least one of them, and you'd hope to. I mean, if you do, this season has such a different look to it. But they fall to their 6th defeat of the season, losing this football game, and they fall to 1-2. They're 4-6 overall, and now 1-2 in the division. But some of the things that hurt them, turnovers. We talked about keys to the game. Turnovers. Had to win the turnover battle. Didn't get that done. Tackling. Man, some issues there. They did a pretty good job on Derrick Henry. They gang tackled him pretty well. But Lamar Jackson killed them. They missed so many tackles on Lamar Jackson. The run that he had out of pocket to get to the 1 yard line. Man, Cam Taylor-Britt misses. Logan Wilson takes a tough angle and isn't able to push him out of bounds. Lamar Jackson distorts football geometry. When you're taking an angle on Lamar Jackson, a lot of times you come up wrong because of his ability. I guess that knee injury wasn't too serious. He didn't look too bad to me running around out there like a wild man. They are tough to handle offensively. That 1-2 punch of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, significant to say the least. And BK, man, 3 sacks. That was he was a problem inside. They could not control BK at all. But these 2 quarterbacks in this football game, 59 for 89, 718 yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. My goodness. You look at it and you say, in the first half, things couldn't have gone any better. Bengals, they lose the toss. Baltimore wins, they defer. What you want to do in that situation, go down and score. Get an early lead, make the opponent play from behind. 12 plays, 70 yards. They answer the bell there. Baltimore goes 3 and out. And I'm thinking, man, here we go. Bengals go on another long drive, double-digit play drive. 3rd and 3, incomplete to Gesicki. 4th and 3, goes incomplete down the right sideline to Burton. Baltimore gets the football. Short field, not terribly short, but short enough. They score a touchdown. I mean, that was, I thought that was an early factor in the football game. It's just a tough pill to swallow. I mean, the turning point, like we talked about before, though, 21-7, 21-7. Second and 5 from the Bengals 27-yard line. Chase Brown hits it up in there pretty well. I mean, there's good blocking, picks up 4 yards. Humphrey rips the ball right out of his grasp. You got to keep that baby high and tight, man. Ripped it right out of there. They get the ball at the Bengals 31-yard line to the Baltimore Ravens and finalize a 1-yard touchdown run. 5 plays, 31 yards, 1-yard touchdown run by Derrick Henry. And that was the turning point. That set a much different tone in this football game. And then in the fourth quarter, the drive from their own 8-yard line. Short pass to Bateman for 5 yards. Henry goes over the left tackle for 3 yards. And then the 2-yard pass down the football field to Wallace. He busts 84 yards for a touchdown. We talked about the missed tackles. That was brutal. The fumble, short field touchdown, and then that from the 8-yard line to go 92 yards in 3 plays, and one of those plays being an 84-yard touchdown. I mean, we've seen Jamar Chase do it. We've seen him catch sometimes passes 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and take it 70 to the house. Wallace, come on, Wallace. Wallace got it done. There's no doubt about it. And then Mark Andrews shows up on a 3rd and 9. Red zone touchdown. 3rd and 9, Bengals 18-yard line. Red zone touchdown, Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. Finishing a 7-play drive, 7 plays, 65 yards. So, but during the course of the football game, I mean, Jamar Chase had a couple of 1-play drives, and a 70-yard touchdown catch, and he's amazing. He truly is. When you look at the drive chart, and you see 1-play touchdown drives for the Cincinnati Bengals, one of 67, one of 70 yards, touchdowns to Jamar Chase. The Ravens won the hidden yards, 88 hidden yards in their favor. The turnover had a lot to do with that. There's no question about it. But both of these defensive football teams had their struggles, particularly in the first half. It was mentioned during the course of the game was a Charles Dickens special, Tale of Two Halves. Cincinnati Bengals played as good a half as they played all season long in the first half. And they had a halftime lead to show for it. And they take that 21-7 lead in the second half. And then the wheels fell off. And it all started with the fumble. So, didn't get it done in the short week on the road against Baltimore. Played them off their feet. I mean, it was a very, very good football game, but not a great game because it didn't come up on the right side of the column. It was in the loss column, not the win column. Now you got to get your body right. You got to get your treatment. You have a few extra days because you got to go out to L.A. and play the Chargers. And it's the second half of the Harbaugh boys. And one thing they have in common, John and Jim Harbaugh, John with the Baltimore Ravens and Jim with the Los Angeles, with the Chargers out there. Physicality. They're both going to run the football. And they both got outstanding quarterbacks that can do damage off of a solid running game. So Cincinnati Bengals are going to have to figure out a way to take care of business on the road. Back-to-back road games. One of them in the division didn't get it done. Got a little bit of a break here to get your mind and body right to go out to the West Coast and get a victory in the AFC. Stay in the playoff hunt. Got to be 5-6, worst case scenario, going into that bye week. Got to get that 5th victory. So, after the bye, who knows? They could get real hot. I mean, going into yesterday's game, 4 division games in 8 weeks, 3 division games in 6 weeks, 2 division games in 3 weeks. The back half of the schedule is loaded with division games. They lost the one, so now they've got 3 division games left in 7 weeks. And they've got to take care of those division wins, those division games, get victories. I will say one thing. I guess if they do make the playoffs, or if they're trying to make the playoffs, and it comes down to a point differential, which is way, way down in the tiebreaker, man, I mean, they've all of their losses except for one have been by a total of 16 points. 5 of the losses are a total of 16 points, and of course they had the 20-point defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles. But man, they've been in a bunch of close football games. Got to figure out a way to close them. Got to make plays down the stretch to win the close football games. It's happened too many times going the other way. I mean, to go over in those games, go 500, that's understandable. If they were 500 in those football games, things would look much different right now. They've lost them all. Incredible. We'll see how they respond, see how they react. I don't think they came out of it with any terrible injuries, but guys that they had hoped might be able to make the dance, will they be able to play against the Chargers? Orlando Brown, T. Higgins, Chris Jones. These guys, they can help. They can help. Hopefully they have a few more hands on deck. We'll see. Not going to be easy. That's life in the National Football League.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.